Lights, camera, action. Welcome to the Scrapbook Podcast, Director's Cut.
We in the game?
Sir.
All right, welcome back to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We still going with Scrapbook? Oh, no, this is the scrapbookpodcast.com Director's Cut.
Yes, sir.
And it is Patrick's turn today, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, we don't have a website, though, so don't go to that.
No, we won't worry about that. All right, so I have a story about 65% done, 70% done in my head. But a lot of what I'm saying is going to be off the top just to fill in those gaps. But it wasn't initially going to center around a Native American boy. But now I want it to center around a half black, half Creole. Creole, is that how you say it? Mm-hmm. Kid in Louisiana, and his grandmother was a voodoo practitioner.
Ooh, you son of a bitch.
And so he's really into all the charms and shit. And this is the prequel in my head to the crawl space. And this is how Frankie and his grandma get there.
Okay.
But it's not the original story that I wanted.
Crawl space you guys don't know shit about.
Yeah,
but you will soon, but you won't.
Yeah. And so it starts out with a young boy, I'd say about 9, 10, but a fairly aware kid for his age. He's pretty smart, single child. But he has both grandparents, mother, father is incarcerated. And so and his father is Creole. His mom is the other half. And so they're doing the do, and his father ends up dying in jail, being killed by like a rival gang or something. Mm-hmm. And his father was like not an OG, but there's this guy named Chicken Man in New Orleans, mm-hmm. and he's like a super famous voodoo guy. And they call him Chicken Man because he reads chicken bones and shit. And so I want him to be close with his father. And so Chicken Man shows up to the house the day before he dies, and he's like, hey, the spirits are out to reclaim somebody, and your father's on the chopping block. And he's just like, what can we do to stop it? And he's like, once the energies get going, we can't reach him. What we need to do is protect the people that's going to come up after him, which is you, because you're the next in the bloodline. Mm-hmm. And he's like, what about my mom? And he's like, it's just not going to go after her because she's attached through somebody else. And he's like, what do you mean by attached? And they don't really speak on it until later in the movie. But as it progresses, his father is murdered in prison, and all of his charms are taken from him. And you're supposed to be buried with your charms when in the tradition for that charm to take effect past your life, right? And so homeboy is walking on the street, Bourbon Street or some shit, and he sees a man in a top hat that's way too tall in the woods following him. And he thinks it's a person following him, and then he realizes it's like an entity. And he runs home, and then the spirit is following him, and he's like, what the fuck? He gets home, he tells his grandma, and his grandma's like, there was a man in the woods chasing me, and she was like, kids get snatched up here all the time, what'd the man look like? And he was like, he was all black, and he was really tall, and his grandma stops him, and she's like, was he wearing a top hat? And he's like, yeah, how did you know? And she's like, oh, shit, he's coming for you already. And you remember The Princess and the Frog?
Of course.
Homeboy with the top hat.
Yeah, black guy.
Yeah. He's like a black doctor, what do you call it? A witch doctor. Mm-hmm. And so this man had it out for his father because he wants to be with his mother. Mm. And so to kill out his line to where she is dependent on him, because they kind of stay in the voodoo community, he's like, I'm just going to take out the family, and then when you need somebody, bam, I'm just going to slide in there or something, right?
Like, the pussy wet? Mm-hmm. Killing my son?
Yeah. Because she's a fairly young lady, she's in her early 30s, so it's not like in 8 years you can't bounce back and be like, what's good, Charles? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right.
And so he starts to have dreams about this man, and then he starts waking up or having dreams about him coming in the window and waking up to his window open. He's finding his father's charms broken throughout the property on his way to school. So shit that he knows like means something. It's like kind of like spitting on the grave of his father, being like, we took this from him, so he can't protect you now. And then now we're showing you that all the shit that he had to protect you, we're breaking it, and that's your trail to school. And so his grandfather is an old cat, not as dope as his grandma, but still, up there. His grandpa dies of cardiac arrest or something, within that calendar month. And so he's just going through it, and then he starts seeing more shit. And so every time he dies, a spirit that was being blocked or shielding him from
every time somebody dies,
every time somebody close to him dies, that has a charm in his honor. So all of these charms that they have on, not all of them are just for him or for them. They're for their grandson. They're for their son.
To leave behind.
Mm-hmm. To leave behind. And when I die, you're supposed to bury these with me or give them to my son. You're not supposed to just break them off and just scatter them about.
Kind of like he's torturing this nigga
in the afterlife.
In the hereafter.
Yeah. And so he starts seeing real fucked up shit. I don't know which way I want to go with it. I think I want to go with maybe seeing his mother in the woods being hurt and him going out into the woods. And then as he's just getting turned around in the Louisiana swamps, and he's hearing people and be like, hey, go get him. And so he's thinking it's real people, and then he's getting confused with like the spirits. And so he's just not knowing where to trust, where to lean. And so midway through the movie, he talks with his grandma during the funeral, and she gives him one of the charms that his grandma or his grandpa had for him. And he's like, don't you bury this with him? And he was like, you can choose to give this because that spirit stays in that, and that good intention stays with that charm. Mm-hmm. You stay with this, and your grandpa will stay with you. And he's like, well, what about that? And he's like, what they did to your father was horrible. But, we can work past that if we keep this good intention here. But you have to believe in it. And so, yada, yada goes on. And the spirits start killing people he knows that aren't voodoo protected, to get him to think that this isn't so much just a voodoo guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like a friend from school is brutally mutilated, and they find like an altar, outside of his house with the tongue and eyes in it.
Damn, nigga.
Yeah, shit like that, like some like old school, like real, and I want it to be scary, but I want voodoo to fight voodoo, and to be like, because voodoo is you praising your ancestors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and giving them the power and shit like that.
Yeah.
It's not them worshiping the devil, but there is a darker side to it. And once
every religion.
Yeah, everything. So homeboy who has a top hat, his father was OG, and so when he passed, that man is stronger than his grandma and grandpa. Mm. He is at this point stronger than his mom. But, maybe he has his father in him to the point where he just needs the belief and the drive to take up his father's mantle. I want somewhere midway through the movie for him to have a near-death experience, and then he talks with his father for a second, and then when he comes back, he's getting ready to be sacrificed, and he's like on a stone or some shit, and that's all I got.
All right, bet. So, a couple things. So this individual, the antagonist, the nigga can go in and out of spiritual states. Like the nigga can turn into like a ghost.
Yeah, it's more like a projection of himself. He's in a different area.
So he's like eyes rolled back type shit.
Yeah, it's like him, sweaty as shit.
Is
like
that
me.
Like the dark arts?
Yeah, it's more like the dark arts than voodoo.
Okay.
And what they're practicing is legit voodoo. They're praying to his father to protect his son, and to his father's father and shit like that, and his mom's mom.
Yeah. So,
and they're a good family. Nobody's in that house like, shooting dice with chicken bones and shit, but you know what I mean? Like, but they do practice it and they're open with it.
Yeah. So So how would it go both sides if one side's Creole?
How would it go? What do you mean?
Yeah, like how is it both sides?
Well, he's
Well, it just doesn't matter because Creole and black
yeah,
and Creole made.
yeah.
Dude.
Well, I'm talking about more like a West Coast black, and then moved to that area and met the father,
Right.
and then she had it in her. Or the mom already had it in her, and he was just like, "This is what I do." Brought her in, and then she was like, "Man, I've
natural."
Yeah, like you're naturally good at this. She's like, "I've been a Christian my whole life," and he's just like, "See, that's what the white man told you to do."
Yeah.
See, this is what our ancestors were, and then he just puts her up on like game on like knowledge of their ancestry, and like he's like, "Where'd you come from?" And she's like, "California." He's like, "Where'd you come from?"
Oh damn!
And she's just like,
remember we were just talking about this.
Panty finna fall off. Nigga. Shit.
The second repeating when you repeat it twice, you mean it.
That holds the weight. You're like,
exactly.
I mean, a deal like Africa, you're like, you think?
Look at your face.
Look at your face.
Okay. So you said you wanted this to be the prequel?
It doesn't have to be a prequel, but it's in the same universe, same vein.
Okay. All right.
Let's go.
It could kind of be like we won't name the story you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because you're gonna make some money off that, buddy. But it could be the same sort of movements the evil nigga does that happens in the main
scenario.
movie. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So how he moves and shit like that. Another question.
Because in that one, there's a lot of goats.
Yeah.
There's a black goat in that one, and I don't want to... It's crazy how you got to, like, skate around it, and you're like, what can I say that won't tell too much?
Yeah.
Not much.
Yeah, not much, but...
Okay.
So the trinkets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, how the fuck does he win this?
Oh, he has to, for some reason, I would assume to match his evil, to match his evil, he would either have to sink to that level of evil, or sacrifice himself, which is the greatest thing you can do, right?
Yeah, true.
But he needs to live at the end of this.
It would have, he would have to live, and it would be a kamikaze thing, because if that nigga just sacrificed himself, and that guy just like, oh, you just killed yourself to defeat
what it is?
Astro plane.
His mother kills herself.
Oh no, that's terrible.
And that's why they leave.
Okay. God damn, that's too heavy though, bro.
Oh, it's not supposed to be a funny movie.
Oh yeah.
Lot of frogs and throats. A lot of sweat on the bridge of the nose.
So how does this not get alerted by other voodoo individuals in the community?
They're in a predominantly a Catholic region.
Okay.
They're like in kind of like the Bible Belt, where like they're already kind of shunned. Yeah. So he wears like long sleeves that cover up his charms. You know, like he always wears his beads underneath his shirt, and he wears two shirts.
Yeah.
Like he's not ashamed of it, but he knows it can bring out people's bad side, and being like, God, you're worshiping the devil, and he's just like, no, I'm not. You don't know what I'm doing, but you don't need to. You don't need to. It's okay, man.
Yeah, you're not worth telling.
Yeah, and so
the truth.
That's why there's no community for them to be like, hey, this is. They're close to Louisiana. But I don't want to say they're in Louisiana. But I want to say, like, his father is born and bred Louisiana native, voodoo all day. And he's just, like, one of those, like I put in my 8 hours. I get out and I put another 8 hours in at the house to fix up my house.
Yeah.
And then, like, when it's 11:30, I have me a glass of, like, sweet tea.
Yeah,
make some
fire.
Good loving to my wife.
Yeah.
And then go to bed at 12:30 and wake up at 4.
All I
do this shit again.
Is break backs and make stacks. You know what I'm saying? I like the fuck out of that. I love how dark it is. A couple more things. So, does everybody have to die?
Not everybody. His grandma's gonna live.
So, so maybe that's how he can get the ability to fight this motherfucker. It's kind of them dying. You know what I mean? Because he gets his charms from his grandma, right?
Yeah.
So that helps. It kind of balances out maybe not getting the charms from his dad. Mm-hmm. Can you repair the charms?
It's more of like a every piece of it kind of thing you need. So like even the twine.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Even the twine, because the father made it for his son.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they make it for that, or they get it from a witch doctor or whatever, shaman or whatever.
Yeah.
For that specific person. So you break it, the integrity, once it's gone, it's gone. It's like trying to, you pop an inflatable and you're just trying to patch it up with duct tape.
Yeah, yeah.
I might hold it for a second.
The air's going to seep
But
out.
the air is like, you're going to come back and leave it in the sun. It's kind of done.
Yeah. Damn.
And so, but I want a few of his friends to die. I want him to be driven to the point of like wanting to confront a man he doesn't feel he can beat. And like his grandma being like, this man wants you dead. He's always wanted your father's dead. He's always been jealous of your father's, power and his character.
Where did he meet this motherfucker?
Man, Louisiana.
I mean, but I know where, motherfucker. I mean,
nigga,
where?
The Devil's Crossroad, nigga.
Oh, okay. He's just like hey, what's up, dude? And he's just like, you're an evil motherfucker, but I'm gonna let you around my wife. Like, how the fuck do they meet? How does he even know his? You know what I'm saying?
Well, what I'm thinking is maybe in a certain way, evil can't be in an area with such a present good.
Absolutely.
And so
not without it can't be out.
Yeah,
you know
it can be there, but it can't be free roaming.
Yeah, exactly. Can't be out of the closet and shit.
You're not gonna get a lot of shade with no trees in the middle of the day.
Yeah, yeah.
Doesn't mean shade can't exist, but you're not gonna get a lot of it.
Exactly. The most you can do is put that hand above that
exactly
eyebrows, but that ain't gonna do shit.
And so taking out him was a way for him to monopolize that community and be able to do more dirt. Because he's selling charms to people who want people dead. He's out here hustling that back door shit. Like, you want them dead? You want them cursed? I can have somebody have a stillborn. You want to do that?
Ooh, shit.
He's like a real evil person.
Then I'll have them take a picture with that stillborn.
Damn.
Fucking sickos.
I can't believe it. That story still, like, it just makes me think, like, damn, man, that poor kid, in the worst way possible, was lucky. Because they wouldn't have treated it right. Like, him or
Isn't
her,
that
right?
Fucking weird?
It's beyond weird. Weird is you liking to smell your own fart. That's weird.
That's... Avocados.
I almost smell chestnut. And you're like...
Yeah, let's put makeup on this dead kid. And take
pictures. Wow. Weird.
Okay, so what is the band of... first of all, is any of his friends privy to Voodoo?
His two closest best friends, yes. Because...
Then they get murked.
Yeah. And that's what it is that he's...
Oh, I could see it too.
He's not... He's
some Brightburn shit.
Yeah, and he...
Not as goofy.
One of them is a country-ass white boy who loves fishing.
Yeah.
And that's how he met him, with fishing, and he was
noodling.
Just like... Yeah, he's like one of those noodling. He was like, I ain't gonna do all that, bro. I'll throw a line in the water, but miss me with that, like, being nipple deep in water. I'm good.
Yeah.
And he's just like, come on, stop being scared. You do all that voodoo stuff. And like, but he's mad cool. He's down with them. When the white kids talk shit about him, he's just like, shut up. You're not going to do nothing. Shut up.
Yeah, he's the first one to stand up.
Exactly. And then his other homie is another Creole.
Okay.
And so.
Well, French.
Yeah. And they just rock with each other. They're super tight. None of them do voodoo besides him. But they're all aware of what he does. But they don't go to his house because their parents are really like, you can hang out with cuz, but you can't really just be kicking it at his...
don't eat his fucking...
Yeah, you can't be at the house of the devil, You can't have a chair at the house of the devil.
Yeah.
You can play in the backyard, though.
Damn.
And so those two niggas get killed in a horrific way. Or maybe one of their parents dies, or is possessed and tries to kill them.
And then they separate themselves.
Yeah, and that's the big break. Is that when his friends leave him and they're just like, my mom tried to kill me. My father just jumped off the roof. His legs don't work anymore.
Yeah. Or he jumped off head first.
Yeah.
Now he's Christopher Reeves.
Yeah. Without the money. You know what I mean?
Without the stem cells. Oh, fuck, man. All right, so maybe that's so how would the mother kill herself?
I would say it's an offering to their father or something. Something.
Also, man, why does good have to be weak and evil have to be strong?
I think what the idea is, at least for me in this scenario, is that it's the fact that evil isn't stronger than light. It had to wait for light to die.
Okay. Yes.
He couldn't do shit while his father was incarcerated.
Opportunistic.
He was in jail for years for a crime he didn't commit because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He kept it solid in there, kept reading, kept his body in mental and shape.
Show like that evil voodoo shit framing him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like the nigga obviously wasn't in the car at the time of the accident. Mm-hmm. And then maybe you see like, you remember Hollow Man?
Yeah, with Kevin Bacon?
Kevin Bacon.
They show his full penis in that.
Man, dude, you know, good for him.
I was watching that with the roar and was like, oh, that's a full dick. Okay.
Yeah, man. Hey, don't watch Euphoria.
Oh, yeah.
There's cock everywhere.
I heard about that, and she was like, you got to watch it. I'm just like, you get mad at me for
like when big-ass booties shaking with oil all over them.
I'm watching porn, but they know what they're doing in porn.
Yeah.
You just got these young kids. Just breathing hella heavy.
You want their dick? So maybe it's like, you know how Kevin Bacon, the nigga was like covered in water, you can see his footprints. Mm-hmm. Maybe like the steering wheel would get gripped on, and you know what I'm saying, and his fingerprints are in it. He didn't actually kill anybody, or you know what I mean. I think that'd be a dope framing. How would nobody else in the jail have voodoo capabilities?
Well, I'm thinking he's
to help, or even
I'm thinking in a certain way you can manipulate people with voodoo, their mind. You can make them more aggressive. Yeah, you can make them more. They're less willing to come to an agreement and be quicker to argue. Yeah. And so what I'm thinking is maybe the voodoo dude put it into a cop or somebody or a white man or something. And he checked him and was like, you're not getting past here. He's like, let me go. And, a scuffle ensues. Homeboy loses the fight. And then comes to. And it's just like, what did you assault me for? And he's just like, what are you talking about? And you can see it leave his eyes. He was just like. And then so he just sits there and he's just like, that man was not in his right mind. And, people saw it go down. People saw him attack him first.
Couldn't he tell that some voodoo shit was happening?
I think it should be that you can tell, especially with him being such a strong voodoo guy.
Yeah, he's like, and then not warn his family. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Maybe even go in that direction while he's just like, yo, they're just be prepared. Tell his wife that as soon as he gets into jail, he got his hand on the fucking glass and shit.
Big ass hand.
Right? And the son just like, Dada. You know what I mean? But, Tootie calls me Dada still, and she's fucking, 100 years old.
Yeah, she's going to be like, hey, yo, I need about $200, Dada.
I'm like, let me get my purse.
Hella gum and mints at the bottom.
Werther's.
Never actually using said gum. It's just in the purse.
Breath.
I'm just like, Mom, your breath smells like beer. What we doing here? Look, man, that was a joke.
So, and this, it would kind of be like, he tells them, like, be aware, tells his parents to be aware. And, like, they fortify themselves and make more charms for him and shit like that. But more protective charms than like physical power. I think that's what their downfall was. All defense, no offense. You know what I mean?
And I think his father was the offense, and
because he's prepared to wear those L's.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He's prepared to go into the fire
to take a life.
Yeah,
because he has before.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like That's what got him so strong.
And I think that he should get not deported, but taken to a prison out of state. So he's taken further away from them.
So what do they do for a living?
I want to say gators. You know, something super southern, something super like meek, under the table.
Maybe order. Fuck, I'm hungry as fuck. Food. Maybe like a little restaurant.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty ill.
Maybe a catfish joint,
Bourbon Street restaurant.
Yeah, because white homeboy loves fishing, and he's always bringing moms through hella fish, and you know she'll throw him some shit, and just like, don't tell your parents. I know they.
I'll cook it for you. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta worry about it. You gotta eat it raw.
Yeah.
It ain't no California, no sushi.
And so it could be something like that.
I think it'd be dope, like little, but like.
And that's where they're finding these mushrooms and shit like that along the waterway for, you know, their little thing, because they're not witches, but they use the
earth.
Yeah, they use the earth and shit.
That's a part of the voodoo and shit anyway. So
so when his father dies, that's when he started seeing that man. But then when his grandpa dies, that's when he started seeing evil things.
Like it's like them passing on is making him see clearer.
Yeah. Because he's seen the reality of the spirit world for the first time in his life.
Absolutely.
And maybe that's why when he was young, his father moved from Louisiana, was that he saw his son was seeing this shit in the beginning.
Like, Dad, who's that?
He's like, who's the man smiling on the roof? And he's like, oh, shit.
Who's that man dancing on the roof? Like the niggas doing like a foxtrot and shit. Mm-hmm. Like dancing with nobody. And he just like, okay, so if he sees that and his dad obviously is aware.
Yeah.
Maybe it was that night he was going to attack or, you know what I mean? Or take this nigga out. That's when the cop shit happened and him go to jail.
Okay. That could work. That could work.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's why he's been gone most of his life in jail. It's because he tried to do it fairly early when he could communicate and say, hey, I'm seeing this shit on my roof. He's like, there's a man with a top hat. Mm-hmm. And I want a laughing jackal. I want something like almost like the Cheshire Cat, where you just hear a laugh and you kind of just see the gleam of teeth. And it's hanging upside down. Mm. And then you see it climb down the tree, but you don't see its body. You just see its mouth. And then when it gets down...
Not as wide and crazy.
Yeah, it's...
Because for sure they got copyright.
Exactly.
With that shit.
But it's like, you see that mouth upside down, and then you see it, like, crawl down, and then you see it get on the floor, and then it gets super low. Like somebody's doing, like, a Spider-Man on the floor. Like, with their nipples barely above the ground.
Yeah.
And their dick dragging on the floor. Yeah. Like that. And then it stands up, and it's, like, 8 feet tall. Mm. And it's, like, right... And it's just, like... laughing or you know, doing something, but I want like, because I want each one to be a different emotion when you see it. Like each evil that he sees, I don't want it all to just be like, oh, that's scary. I want one to be psychologically scary. I want one to be like physically like imposing, where you're like, this is terrifying because of how big that thing is. Mm-hmm. I want this one to be scary because it's like, this one's in my house, in my room. I want this one scary because it just opened the door. Like shit like that, like I don't want them all to just be jump scare shit. Yeah. I want somebody to be out in the woods and him seeing the smile and it like walking towards him, and then the door opens and he turns around and he just sees the shadow of the nigga's hat walking down the hallway, and then he turns around and the mouth is right up on the window. And then he falls back, and it's his grandma holding him. And she's like, what are you screaming for? And he's like, what? And he's in bed.
Damn. I like the fuck out of that.
So it's just like a it wants to break him psychologically, because the strongest thing a man can have is not his brawn, but it's his mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was the one thing that he thought he would steal from his father when he went to prison. He thought he would break down eventually, physically and mentally, and he would be able to be taken over easily. And when his father just kept doing those push-ups, kept reading, and kept believing, he was like, I'll never be able to touch this kid or the mom until this motherfucker's dead.
Oh, what if this nigga, in person, he goes to, you know, oh, I heard about Joshua, the husband. I don't know what you named the guy.
Mm-hmm. I haven't named anybody.
He's like, oh, I'm so sorry, ma'am. You know what I mean? And starts speaking French to her, and he doesn't understand. He's like, oh, you know, trying to familiarize himself, and she's like, aren't you like I think I met you before, and then the nigga's just like trying to, you know, posture himself in closer with her, and then like he puts his hand on the seal of the door, and it's like kind of like burns the nigga. Mm-hmm. He's just like, oh, I can't.
He's so close. Alabama son.
Yeah. Oh, it's hot in this motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Thick accent.
And it throws him like, it brings him back to the grimy ass rat nigga he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He tried to put on the, you know,
that southern charm.
Yeah.
And that shit doesn't work when there's snakes in your belly.
Exactly, bro. And those snakes went to wiggling when he touched that house. Mm-hmm. He got boots on shit. He couldn't feel it. But he touched it physically. He's like, oh, that nigga's protecting this shit. You know what I mean?
And he's been, and that's the thing is that, like, if he can do the dirt and get him out of there and rob him of those charms, then not only is his power, that shield of power gone, but now, like, it's like mentally what that does to you, to know the strongest one of you was taken and everything that he built for you was thrown on the floor.
Yeah.
It's like, it's fucking with him more than it's fucking with everybody else. Like, his mom was like, your father was strong. You know how many men it took to overcome him? Like, your father was never scared. And he's just like, I'm scared, though. And grandma was like, your father was strong. You need to be strong. We need this from you because he's feeding on this. And he's like, I'm not him. I can't. I
might be a junior in this.
I'm 16. What do you want me to do? And she's like, I just want you to believe in yourself like he believed in you. And he's just like, and it's just that belief.
He's not here.
Not my dad. Flipping shit. And he's like, calm down, Peter.
Calm down, my boy. Fuck.
I want him to have a super, like, a Frenchy sounding name, too.
Pierre.
Pierre could work. Dom Pierre. That sounds like a damn drink.
Dom Pierre.
But yeah, and so
Josh.
I don't know what the climax of the story is gonna be. I know it's him killing the Chicken Man dude or the dude with the top hat.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how he does it. I kind of want it, like, you remember in Fantasia when Cuz dies at the end, he starts shaking and then he just turns into bones and then the bones evaporate into dust.
Yeah.
I kind of want that, but like not that. I want more like the evil is coming out of him in the worst way. Like you start seeing his ribs crack inwards, like outwards.
Have you ever seen a seizure?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Maybe like that, but you know, some people kind of click out of that shit. Mm-hmm. But the nigga like gritting his teeth so hard you can hear his teeth snapping into.
And his like rib cage to pop. Like something's coming out of it.
His sternum pops.
And then you see those snakes in his belly.
Snakes in his belly, just like, you know what I mean? Coming up his throat and just like behind his, in his mouth, you can see him. But as they come out, it's just like, remember those fake ass tarot readings niggas used to do, sit around the table? And then there's like this thick ass it's not phantasm.
Yeah.
It's called something else.
I thought that's what it's called.
Yeah, I believe it. You know, there's a stupid ass movie that I
Connecticut, something in Connecticut.
Yeah. Nigga just like,
slap the shit out of you. You start spitting up weird shit like that and floating. I'm like, no, you ain't from here.
Ectoplasm.
Yeah.
So the nigga, so it kind of be like that, but it's pure black. Like one of the, that color that they created in labs that was so damn black that it
absorbed light.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's just purely black, like the blackest black ever. But it's kind of like that. So when the snakes meet I mean, outside of him, it's just pure black, and he's just like seasoning up his eyes, turn into raisins and shit.
And he's turning into an older man as well.
Exactly.
Like the evil was keeping him young.
Yeah. And maybe it's even how he's taking niggas' lives. It adds on to his.
On how his end is going to be. Mm-hmm. Like he gave people leprosy, and so pieces of his nose and ears start falling off. And yeah, we can make it real gruesome.
How about all the emotions that you were stating earlier come out of him as well? You know what I'm saying? Because the jackal guy has to die too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The nigga, him.
Or on some ghost shit, the demons that he brought out take him to hell. So it's the same.
Like he was forcing them to stay above ground doing his work.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they're free to roam the earth, and he's just like, nah, you're gonna stay here and terrorize this family. Specifically this boy. Yeah. And that's what it is that the jackal is in that area. It's not that jackal was his father's demon or his grandfather's demon. Yeah. It was the fact that his grandfather made a charm for that jackal that he saw when he was growing up. And he's like, I'm passing this on to my grandson because I know this thing lives out here.
And that spooked the fuck out of him. Not everybody, because everybody could just be like, well, fuck that guy. Mm-hmm. But him, it was just like, you know what I'm saying? Like for me, Tales from the Crypt, that nigga haunted me, nigga.
Jeepers Creepers, the first Jeepers Creepers, I couldn't walk down a fucking hallway for months without jogging lightweight. Because I was like a jog was going to save me from it either, but...
Nigga wings. You know what's fucking hilarious? I was purposely eating more. Because I'm like, he don't want me if I'm fat.
For Jeepers Creepers?
Yeah. I'm like, he doesn't want me. Bro, I'm going to just eat all this shit even more than I was. He wouldn't want a fatty liver.
Yes, he would. He's like, I take, you can't steal. He was like, you and a 113-pound white woman. That's what that is.
Goddamn. Yeah, maybe they do drag him down. Or even they like peel out of him. Ooh. And those parts die as well. You know what I'm saying? Like they're breaking out of his like face and shit. His face is like, because all this shit he's astroplaning this. Mm-hmm. They don't tell the nigga come back with a progress report like, hey yo, I saw this nigga walking down the street. He sees it as well. So maybe it's a part of him.
Yeah, like on some Sauron shit.
Exactly.
Like when he's talking to him, it's in his head.
Exactly, man. Sauron, that nigga pussy boy. That nigga, what's his name?
Saruman.
That nigga.
Saruman is the OG. Saruman.
Yeah, that he was actually.
Sauron is.
I thought Saruman was.
That was a lazy on J.R. Tolkien's part.
Yeah.
To just be like Saruman. That's two people. You're like, nah, nigga, that's an evolution of a Pokemon is what it is.
Yeah. Saruman. Fuck. But yeah, man, I think that would be pretty impressive how all those parts that came, and then the protagonist watching this shit, like he could have just left 20 minutes ago. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But he needs to see it because
it's a slow process. It's not like a fleeting 30 seconds. Like this is.
Have you seen a werewolf in London?
You know, I wanted to watch it the other day, and then my girl was like, "It looks really bad," and I was like, "Yeah, this is a movie you smoke and you just enjoy the art of it, all the reality that nobody had done this before."
Yeah,
and
they were the greatest transformation ever I have ever fucking seen ever is in that movie when he turns into a werewolf.
That was in the 90s.
It does the 80s.
80s.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the first one.
Yeah.
I thought that was a werewolf in Paris was the first one.
In London, Paris was the second one.
Oh, okay. I think I saw that
because I remember that French girl.
That's what I remember.
Oh.
Ooh, and she's just someone right now living with 4 kids, like parlez-vous français.
Exactly. Just like, y'all want to see this movie, y'all going to see mom's titties in this, but you want to see a movie I was in? They're just like, no.
No, she's just like, it's the only one I was in. You're like, no. I'm
yeah,
good.
double no, Mom. Thanks, though.
Stop trying to show us the movie. You're just like...
Your father doesn't touch me. He's like, God damn, boy.
That ain't got nothing to do with me, mama.
Yeah.
Well, not to borrow all goddamn day. You keep your father's name out your mouth. I'm like, then what are we doing here? I'm going to grandma's house.
Why are we talking? Okay, so I think that'll be pretty ill, the way that he would die. But anyway, that transformation in that movie it'll fuck you up. And the nigga screaming for like, I want to say the transformation takes about 10 minutes or so.
And I want him to try to barter with them for a second and offer him a charm. And he watches him decompose and die, and the charm falls out of his hand. And there's a moment where he's looking at the charm to see if he's gonna take up the mantle of the evil that he just defeated, you know, or is he gonna go on to be the figure in the community like his father was?
I think that'd be a pretty good jump scare. Like, his body's all roasted and decomposed and shit. Just
skin's bubbling and shit.
Yeah. And then he like stares at the charms, like this pile of charms. It's all gleaming, nice, shiny, clear, clean. And then he stares at the shit and just dead silence. And he's like, ah! Like, lets out like his like last fucking breath out. And he was like, oh, no. I was close. I was close, nigga. But that scared the fuck out of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my end if I choose this. That, right then and there.
He should be, like, trying to barter with him. Like, his hands are shaking and hella thin. He's like, this ring for good teeth. And he, like, takes it off and his teeth just start falling out of his mouth. He's like, you want good hair? And then his hair starts to fall and his skin is, like, all, like, blistered and burnt. And he's, like, showing him, like, I'll give you immortality. Just help me.
Yeah.
Help me!
Yeah.
And he's just like, no.
Nah, I can't do it. So how the fuck does he defeat this guy?
Oh, man, that's a big question.
Maybe even some shit like his grandma was just like, it's kind of like, have you seen, fuck it. So it's kind of like, these rituals right here, you never fuck with these.
Mm-hmm.
They're the most powerful rituals that we could ever speak, and you cannot reverse these words.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was meant to be like, all right, that's cool. Like, I'll stay away from those. Does everything else. But those are the ones that bring him down. Just like getting high and watching movies has ruined movies for me because I see right through everything. I see words going. I see there's no like play. It's like, haha, this is cool. It's like anime. This person is the most powerful person in the world.
And every time he gets hit, he's going to take a hard L for about 13 minutes of this show.
Yeah.
And then before the 21st minute mark, he's going to win.
Yeah.
And he's going to show that he's the strongest man in the universe.
Exactly. And just like, oh, if this happens, if these things happen, death is irreversible. Mm-hmm. And then those things happen, and death is irreversible. You're like, bro, what the fuck are y'all talking about? Like, I don't understand this shit. Like, why are we doing the same thing over and over again? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like in Avatar, this shit, the movie, the dumbass movie that made millions of dollars. Unobtainium, nigga. That's what the metal you're mining? Unobtainium.
They were lazy. They were lazy with it.
You know, I mean, the budget's about $1 billion. How about you name some shit like metal? You know what I mean? I wouldn't even like that if you would have named the bitch metal.
Yeah.
But unobtainium, this shit, we're trying to mine this shit under this spiritual tree. It's called unobtainium. Like, all right, bet. It's just like, it's hard to get. Like, yeah, that's what I got from the fucking title of the metal, bro. Thanks. Yeah. I got
And
that.
honestly, it should be called hard to get obtainium. You know what I mean? Because you can get it. Unobtainable means you can't get it.
Yeah. That nigga said hard to get anium.
Like, that's what sucks when you get those $1 billion movies that do great, make hundreds of billions, and then you're like, but like, 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes in that writer's room. And somebody raises their hand and says, hey, James, unobtainium is real lazy.
Yeah.
Let's look at the chemicals. The hardest ones, blend that name together, and then we got something. And he's just like, I want people to know that it's hard to get, though. It's like, it's under a big-ass tree.
Yeah. And those people, they pray to that tree, and they, like, have sex
and they're really, like, willing to kill you for it.
Yeah.
That's pretty hard to...
They shoot arrows at you, bud.
Yeah, and they're 9 feet tall.
Yeah. One thing is, what the fuck was I going to say? They need shit to be simple for niggas. And when I mean simple for these motherfuckers. That's why every movie that takes thought is not very popular.
Or it becomes a cult classic and it's popular like 2.5 years later.
Exactly.
5 years down the line.
Yep.
Like The Witch got overlooked a lot.
Bro, and it was so good.
The Witch is one of the best movies I've ever seen for that genre.
Yeah.
One of the best movies. And they barely showed shit.
Yeah. Barely showed shit, but the whispers, the darkness, the
Black Phillip.
Yeah, Black Phillip, the thick MILF naked bitches flying. And then the simple fact that the baby was there. You went around to wash your hands real quick.
No, she went like this.
Oh, yeah.
She playing peekaboo. Came back with that third peekaboo, and that nigga was like, Pika gone.
And the witch was going knees to chest into the forest. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't catching that bitch, bro.
Asshole all the way out.
She runs a 4-4, you know what I'm saying? Like, 4-4-40, nigga. Like, she's out of there.
You know how I know your brain changes shit when it really scares you? Because I remember when they see the witch in those 2 little kids, and then she comes to take them. I remember her standing up and going like this, and going, ha!
No,
she does not do that at all. She just sits there and laughs in the corner.
Yeah,
and then they scream. In my head, I remember specifically her going, ah! It hit in the crucifix.
Really?
Like she was like, here I am, kind of thing. And
you know what? It might have been a cross between scenes. Because remember, the boy was kind of like making love to like the devil. You know what I mean? And he's just like, like Jesus.
Like, that nigga who was pop locking it?
Yeah. The boy was
one of the best acting scenes out of a kid that age of all time.
Extremely uncomfortable, unsettling.
Yeah. That's what I want those scenes in this movie to be like.
Yeah, unsettling.
I want people to be like, I don't want to see that again, honey. And he's like, that was great, though. You don't want to own that? She's like, I don't want that in my house. I want people to see this movie and not want to own it. Because it's like, they're like, it's got creepy shit in it. I'm not trying to bring that shit into my house.
That can definitely be done. The treatment's going to be great for this one.
And
hello, 20K.
In the picture I want is a bowl made of bone, or like the
skull.
Yeah, a skull of like a fairly big farm animal with eyes, tongue, and like intestines in it.
Oh yeah,
because that's what he leaves outside of their house when he kills the people. You're the first person to see it.
Oh, you know, it'd be ill.
Or it's like under your bed or something when you wake up.
Stinks in here, honey.
And like you wake up to like bot flies, like fat ass flies, and you're like, what the fuck? My window's open. And then you get out and you're just like, you smell it in your room, and your mom's tripping like, what the fuck? And then you find it, and then you're like, whose tongue is this?
You just like, oh, and then your grandma just like, oh, like saying spells and shit. Mm-hmm. Then you go to school the next day, the school that day, and then your boy's dead. Mm-hmm. But his body was found. It wasn't cut open. His stomach was literally, his belly button was literally touching his spine. There's nothing in there. You know what I mean? It's like he's not cut open. It's just fucked up like how it's done. It's done in a magic voodoo ass way.
And they both leave school at that point.
Yeah.
When his friend gets there, they meet outside the school, and he's just like, "Hey, where's Jay?" Mm-hmm. And he's like, "They found him, man." And he's like, "What do you mean they found him?" And he was just like, "Without a tongue."
All the while, I want you to finish this shit though.
Go ahead.
All the while, the camera's creeping in on somebody sitting in the chair, Jay sitting in the chair,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's slowly slowly approaching the nigga, and then he's telling the story about, they found him. And then they turn him around, and the nigga just, no shirt on, stomach, just, there's nothing in there. All you see is just the outline
of the dude that died.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and just
so
nothing.
It shows you the story of him dying.
No, it just shows his body. Like that's the big reveal.
Oh, that's the grotesque image.
Exactly.
Is his mutilated body
fucked up? You know what I mean? And all the while, it's just like slowly approaching. It's cutting back and forth, and he's just like, what the fuck? He's like, they found him. Like, and then here it starts getting closer and closer and closer, and then like who, like what, who? And it's like, fucking Fred. And the nigga turns, and it turns around, and the nigga's just gaunt and fucked up in the worst way possible. A good image to burn into your body, burn into, your psyche forever, type thing. Sheesh.
Yeah. And that's a good part about it is that, or the fucked up part is that it's the people that matter the most. This nigga gets out of this situation with just his grandma.
Yeah, you couldn't protect him. How does that feel?
You couldn't protect him. You couldn't protect anybody.
Yeah, maybe if you, and then forever you'll be like, man, if I read those spells earlier.
Mm-hmm. And I want to say he's a freshman in high school.
If I didn't tell my fucking dad.
He's 14, 13, freshman in high school.
Yeah. If I didn't tell my dad about that man on the roof, man, you know what I'm saying?
He keeps blaming himself for the little moments that led his father to go do what he did that got him into jail. And, yeah.
Maybe that's why that's what we were saying before. We kind of cut that off. Maybe that's why he got arrested, got sent to prison in another state, is because he was just picking up, he was hunting out there, some shit like that, hunting some caiman or some shit, whatever the fuck, seafood and shit, and bringing it back. On the way back, that's when the police officer just like, get a car, boy. And he's like, I've been through this shit before.
I want it to be mid-'80s, too.
Mid-'80s?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Boxcar, all metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
And it lends to it's okay to not have contact with people. Nowadays, you leave without your phone, people lose their shit. They're like, I haven't heard from you in 40 minutes. But back then, you used to have to walk an hour somewhere to get somewhere.
Yeah, bro.
And then you spend an hour there.
With a pocket full of change.
And then you walked your ass back.
Yeah.
And if there was like a storm, or something, you stayed for a little bit longer at that spot. And then you left when the storm lightened up.
Yeah.
And it was just like people just crossing their fingers, hoping their kid made it home that night.
Yeah, man. I was watching some documentary shit. Just vanishing ass kids.
That shit hurts my gut watching that shit.
Bro, I'm just like, yeah, nigga. Never will I be like, hey, yeah. You know what? It's a different time. It's a different time. You wouldn't just be like, all right, go to the store. You know how many times I was just holding hands with my brothers walking to the fucking store?
Yeah.
And the store is just like a good 1.5 miles away. I
have definitely been told to stay inside and then just went to like the college 2.5 miles away with my friends.
Yeah.
And it was like, my mom is home at 7:30. I need to be out of here by 6:45.
Yeah, bro.
And then just miles away, nobody caring where I'm at, no phone to be reached at. Yeah. I had to crack my head open. Dad had to either drive me home with the cracked head, call the ambulance, my mom find me with the cracked head, or I just died there.
Yeah.
Depending on their reaction to how bad it was. Because I think when you hit yourself and you get knocked out, that's different than you seizing up and looking like you're dying. Kids freak out way more with that.
It depends on if they care for you, though.
Yeah, and if they have character and they're just a good person, what I mean?
They're just like, we gotta get him back. Like,
because there's always gonna be that one who's just like, my mom's gonna kill me, and then run away like, I'm dying.
Yeah, stand by me.
Take an ass whooping.
And they were just like, we gotta bring the body back. He was like, no, we're not. I'm just like, look, nigga, that's all I got.
Just because you smoke cigarettes doesn't mean you get to run this group.
Yeah, I got one ear, nigga. My dad don't give a fuck about me. My dad is fucking crazy. And my mom killed herself or something. So, I'm gonna need for you to, let me get this W. And they just like, we just gonna call it in. I'm like, nigga, I got a gun pulled on me. Pussy boy.
Pull that shit back. They're just like, hey, come on, man.
He got the 4 or 5 like, we're gonna call it in. Well, okay then. Yeah, all right then, my
Tap
nigga.
that nigga on the head with the head of the barrel. Like, how you want this to go? This can go your thoughts out the back, or you get on track with me. How you want to do this? Try to cock the gun back again. It doesn't go back further. You just shoot him on accident.
Shoots the dead body twice.
Bow. Shit.
Who gives a fuck?
My ears, man. Just leaking.
Damn. All right, bro. Wrap it.
Yeah, and that's it. I don't know what I want to call it. I want it to be some kind of like French Creole kind of like voodoo name. Mm-hmm. I wanted to just call it Voodoo.
Yeah.
And just red paint, like somebody was, how like they used to write like garage sale on a piece of wood.
Yeah.
Like that, but just red paint that says Voodoo. Mm-hmm. Or Our Calling, because it's a family thing.
Okay.
Shit like that, but I don't know. I wanted it to be like, I want you to see it and know that this movie isn't good. Like, and know it's not like happy.
Yeah.
I want you to know that I want you to get the energy of it from the title. Like A Night In, it's a play on words because it sounds like a night in.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you're like, oh my God, that happened?
Comfort with it?
Somebody just seasoned up in the back and then somebody gets butt stroked.
Yeah.
And then they wake up tied up. Like, they're like that. It's misleading. This one I want it to be like, oh, you're gonna see somebody's neck pop in this. Yeah. You're gonna see a little like baby creature crawl out of this man's chest as he's dying. Shit like that. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Director's Cut. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you, Joseph, for the much needed help. I had about 65, and I feel like we have like 98, bro.
Yeah.
I feel like we could polish that bitch up with like a little bit more detail on how his mother dies. But I want that
the timeline
I want that to have weight when it happens. I don't want it to just be something that we're just like, and then she's dead, and then he's strong. Like that. I want it to really matter because that's all he had left.
I'm strong now.
He's like Super Saiyan and shit. He's like, is he floating?
No,
he's like,
he's Broly. He's
like, no.
Y'all gave him 60,000 for this nigga.
Judge is like, what about me? All this y'all wrote. They're like, we don't want slap.
BET opted out of that.
BET will snatch that up so damn quick.
Nigga, and I'm waiting for it. Okay.
Bro, what you do is you have Cat Williams be the fucking
the
promoter.
Yeah, nigga.
And he's just serious though.
Yeah,
but he's always sweating.
Yeah, and then Michael Jai White.
Michael Jai White's his father.
His father.
Michael Jai, you gotta put on 20 pounds, bruh. A fat. You gotta look like you're like out of the gym.
Yeah,
we'll put a fat suit on you, bro. We'll just keep you in a tank top with a fat suit.
We'll call up Martin, get that fat suit he wore to betray our whole community.
Tyrese, we got you, baby.
Yeah, Tyrese.
Sweet lover, won't you be mine? We got you, baby. We're going to give you more lines than you had in the Transformers, baby. We got you.
Oh, fuck. Round baby. All right, y'all. Thanks for joining the Director's Cut. Like Pat said, if you want to contact us, email us at thescrapbookpodcast.com. The name will be changed soon, but the emails and all the information will stay the same. We love you. Don't stop being creative. Peace.
Deuces.